talking about somebody, I mean, if I turn this phone on, you know how sometimes commercials come in and you ain't got the phone, that won't be, get my telling you, know. You know, see, I say that gotta be the most miserable thing. Well, it is miserable for me sometimes.
I just hope that when I get to the point of that,
But I'm trying to talk to her, I try to make,
somebody encourages me to at least get up and walk around.
and I try to make her laugh, and I thought it was gonna work. We talk sometimes, and again, some things, I mean, she just will not say, I don't wanna talk.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss
All
Patti.
right. Save your breath, right?
You know. But most of the time, I just bring my Bible
There you go.
and read all of this. So how are you doing?
He's not like I am stressed out. He thought we were gonna have an exam too.
We did have, I took the one in the back.
I did too.
I
Yeah,
missed,
We'll talk about that.
I just two. I missed two. I missed the one that asked about the burn.
Oh,
You supposed to put warm, I mean hot, cold water and get the nurse. And I put something else, and that's what I was thinking, put the cold water. I don't know how I ended up putting, and
You
then
just chose the wrong one. All right, you two guys, we're gonna start in about 5 to 7 minutes. We're just waiting on everybody else to come in. So you two people just hang out. We'll be starting here very shortly. Okay.
I for some reason missed the word elope. I couldn't.
That'd
Good
be-
morning.
So that's the question I missed.
yeah, that's
Was regard- my-
and the other one was
I can't think of that, I missed too. Good morning.
it's cool water. There's one that's- Oh, when you register, what they wanna know. No, they won't actually do medical history, and I put
Oh, I haven't had that long to write all that.
But
Yeah, trying to see if it's good up to that.
Yeah, see, I had a problem with that. I was like, huh?
yeah, that's what they try to get away.
People want to like trying to.
Yeah, the elope. Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know if I missed that.
They're in chapter 5.
Was that 5? Okay, see, now I got my tabs on.
When I turn this in, when I go do this today, how do I turn it in? Or do they send it?
They don't give you anything.
Morning.
Because if they give you.
Oh, okay, so they just send it, I don't have to worry about
This
nothing.
is like we're getting it down to people at home.
My iPhone literally
And
died.
they- you-
died. Oh, I don't know. Well, I have T-Mobile, but I don't know how to use Android. I've never used.
It's a lot more simple, trust me.
It's fun. Yeah, this was a great class. I want to do it again.
It was awesome. Y'all was awesome. Sure, we worked with too.
Yeah.
It was great people. To learn with. And Miss Pat was the best.
Thank you.
Definitely simplified.
Yeah, this was, I mean, the creativity of the way you did it, you did good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been working on this class for a long time.
Well, it shows you like it.
I do know what I do.
And you did make it so easy to learn.
Okay, guys, we have cupcakes. Courtesy of Miss Denise.
Oh, no.
So everybody can grab a cupcake.
I can't. I should check my.
I know,
menu.
girl.
Coffee.
I said probably everybody gonna want coffee and I ain't know it. Sorry.
Honey,
These are
just
cupcake
follow
with the
what you did was very nice.
Very
Happy
nice.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I know I won't get to see y'all tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll have
Oh,
our-
don't say
I
that,
didn't
you
think
never know.
about that.
we'll have
Tomorrow's
our
like, oh, you're not
our
cooking dinner?
sweets today with each other.
Good morning.
Go get a rotisserie chicken.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My client did yesterday, she got rotisserie from Publix.
My client got stuck down at Palm Harbor
Where is it? Just
I'll take that this piece.
Share.
at the doctor's office.
Oh, yeah.
And they was an hour behind with the appointment. Then had to fill out a ton of paper like this.
Yeah. Ask them if they want the firstborn.
I'm talking about for him.
Good morning, Kettlee, and good morning, Longleaf. Good morning. Oh,
Or it's a cat.
for real?
Mine are on.
Where?
Hmm,
No thanks.
I'm not sure whose that is. Was that yours? Yeah.
So funny.
Yes, girl.
Are they both there?
Yeah,
Oh, good, good job.
they were my cup holder.
Good job.
Whoops. Think that I walk that way.
I've never tried those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you keep them on. Yeah.
I can use the glue.
I don't have the patience, so.
No,
That's
me
okay.
either. I don't even wear makeup. Yeah, I don't even wear makeup. All right, good morning, guys. Happy graduation day. You made it. Very good. I'm super proud of all of you. You did a good job. Job. You're going to do fantastic on the test. I promise. We're going to talk about a little bit about that in just a few minutes, but over, oh yeah, I do. Okay. Over, between last class and this class, I asked you to read chapter 10 in your blue book and take the test in the white book. So when I call your name, can you give me your score from chapter 10? This is on page 141 of your white book. Okay, Kathleen Swanson, how did you do? Okay, do you have 7, 8, and 9 for me?
8 was 95.
Bless you. Very good. Madeline? Samira? You have 8 and 9 for me? Thank you. Samarie? And 8 and 9? Thank you. Shelley?
95.
Very good. Taylor? Nicole? Bless you. You're Hillary? Denise, you ready yet? Not, yeah? Okay, very good. Do you have chapter 9 for me?
Yes, oh, yeah. You take that one, but I'll take it back.
Okay, no problem. Brianna, Bree, do you have 7 and 8 for me?
7 and 8. I'll have
I'm sorry, 8 and 9. I apologize.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Watson. Thank you. Lance. Thank you. All right. Good morning. Good morning.
These two.
Miss Two, thank you. All right, I'm just getting your scores from chapter 10, page 141 in the white book. Okay, and you are Nicole, correct? Taylor, sorry. Taylor, do you have 9 for me as well? Thank you. Nicole. Okay, do you have 6 for me by any chance? Somehow I missed that one. Thank you. And Madeline? Thank you. All right, does anybody have any questions on any of those questions? Anything that you missed and you're not sure why? I want to talk briefly about the difference between constructive criticism and disciplinary statements. Okay, because there is a difference. Constructive criticism is usually going to be stated as a fact. Okay, I've noticed that you have been showing up late. Is there something that we can do to work on your time management? That's constructive criticism, because we can't be having you show up late all the time. That's not good for the facility because the previous shift has to stay over. It breeds a lot of frustration among staff members. So we need everybody playing the game correctly. So it has to be addressed. But a lot of people think that if something is addressed, it's automatically a personality attack. And that's not the case. Now, if I said something like, I've noticed you're running late quite a bit. What can we do for your time management to make sure that you're on time? That's constructive. We're trying to work together to come up with a solution, right? If I say, what the heck is wrong with you? You're late again. This is unacceptable. That's more hostile. Okay. So yes, it is showing a statement of fact, you're late, but it's critiquing the personality, not the action. So that's really the difference. If an employer says something to you, calls you out on something, don't get defensive. Try to look at, is there truth to this? Now, I'm not going to tell you that every supervisor out there is a great supervisor and, will do the right thing all the time. I can't tell you that. I wish I could. There are some people out there in supervisory positions that are just awful. And nothing will clear staff quicker than bad management. It's not the job that runs people off, it's the management that runs people off. So I can tell you that out there in clinical world, you are going to have some not so good supervisors or employers. But the first thing that you should do if somebody corrects you in any way is try to figure out, is there some truth to this? And a lot of times that hurts our feelings because we don't like to be honest with ourselves, but you need to kind of figure out, is there something I can do to correct this? Because we can't have everybody just doing their own thing out there all the time. We have to have a cohesive workforce. So if somebody's correcting you, take a minute to figure out, is this something I can work on? Me, time management is my biggest problem because I am late to everything. Everything. My children call it Patty standard time. I mean, I am not kidding. They will tell me to be somewhere 20 minutes before I actually have to be there. And I will get there right on time because I'm always 20 minutes late. So they've learned how to work with me. That's nice. But if I were in an employment situation, that would quickly turn into a problem. So somebody would be taking me aside and saying, hey, listen, I know you're late. We got to work on this. What can we do to improve your time management? So that's a fair assessment, right? But I had to be honest with me and not get all defensive. Like, do you know how much stuff I have to do? I'm already getting up at 5 a.m. Do you know what I have to do to get here on time? And you want me up earlier? You know, I mean, that if I got defensive, it's not going to solve the problem, right? Does that make sense? So be careful with how you react to criticism and try to just figure out, is there some truth to this? And like I said, that's kind of the hardest statement because we don't like to be honest with ourselves. We just don't. Yeah. But not everything is hostile. Not every criticism is hostile. If you're not pushed to change, you'll never improve. You'll never improve. Where you are is exactly where you'll be for the rest of your life. So being pushed to excellence, because we rarely have that inside of ourselves, right? Being pushed to excellence is how you improve. Good. Like in here, I pushed you to excellence. Okay.
Does that mean we're excellent?
You are excellent. Every one of you. You are excellent. Super proud of you guys. All right. So in your skills book on page 142 is the practice test. And we talked about this a little bit on Monday. This is very similar to the state exam. It's 60 questions, multiple choice. The questions are written in a similar way. You know, this is kind of what you would see on the state exam. The way the questions are written, the type of content that's covered. It's very, very similar to that state exam. Did anybody take this test? Okay. Okay. So you missed 4?
No.
Oh,
I only did 4 questions.
oh, you only did 4 questions. Okay. All right. You missed 2. Okay. You missed 2. Do you need me to go over the ones that you missed?
So mine was the burn.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I thought you cool off and tell the nurse, but I didn't put that. And the other one was the nurse when you register, what won't they ask you? And I put where CNA was before.
Oh,
But it was the medical, and I should have known that they wouldn't actually virtually wasn't like the medical.
yeah. They're not going to ask you about your medical history. They will ask you about your mental health history, though. And yeah, that's because, well, we have to think about this logically, right? Healthcare is stressful. It is a stressful industry. So all of you guys are like freaking out about the test because you know you're going to be watched. Nobody likes being watched, right? We've talked about that. You're kind of freaking out over the fact that somebody's going to be scrutinizing every step you make. Well, do you guys know that doesn't end at the test?
Right.
When you go out there to work, you are going to be watched. Everything you do is watched by the patient by the families, by the roommates, by your superiors, by other CNAs. You are going to be watched constantly. So if you're not good being watched during the test, you're definitely not going to like it in a clinical setting. Because listen, if my mom is in a clinical setting, my job as her daughter is to make sure that you do your job as a CNA, right? That's my job. Because if I can't be there to, and trust me, if I can be there to take care of her, I will be the one that does it. But if I have to rely on you guys, then I expect you to do it the way I would do it, right? So if I'm there, I'm going to be watching to make sure that you're washing your hands before. Why? Yeah, I want to keep her alive a little longer, right? I know how many pathogens are in this place. I don't want you to give her any of them. None. So if you walk in that room and you don't wash your hands and you go to touch my mom, I'm going to stop you. And I'm going to say, I'm so sorry, but I really need you to wash your hands. And you'll probably say something to me like, yeah, I use the hand sanitizer on my way in. And I'm going to say, I'm sorry, but I need you to wash your hands before you touch my mom. And you're probably going to think I'm mean. But I've only got one mom. We're only issued one. So I'm an only child. That is my job to make sure that my mom stays on this planet as long as possible. So if that means hurting your feelings by asking you to go wash your hands, I'm okay with that. Right? But how could we get around that whole unfortunate encounter? Because now you're going to be mad at me because I've made you do your job and you are going to take offense at that. So now we're not going to get along all that well because you're going to think I'm unreasonable. So how could we get along around that whole dynamic? Yeah, just walk in the room, do your opening and wash your hands. And then you're doing your job. I don't have to get, uppity to do my job because it's all taken care of. Right. So the rules that I'm teaching you in here, they're not just for the test. They're for out there. They're way more important out there because it's out there where it's going to count. Because every patient that you're taking care of is somebody's mom or dad or daughter or son or grandparent or sibling or beloved aunt. They belong to somebody that feels the way I do. So don't cut corners. Do what you're told to do. Do it right. And that way our patients get the best possible outcome. Does that make sense? Okay. So the practice test on page 142 is there to kind of let you know how'd you do? Are you ready for the written test? If you missed less than five or less on my test, you are ready for the written test. Okay. You missed 5 or less on my practice test, you are ready for the written test. Now, if I'd given you this on the first day, you probably would not have done so good. And while you were taking it, you probably heard my voice in your head saying a few things. And that's good.
Hear your voice.
That's good. Yep. Ooey gooey. If they're uncovered or undressed. Yep. Those are designed to stay with you forever. Yeah, forever. I actually made a t-shirt that has CNA in big block letters. And inside each one of those big block letters are all of my sayings. And yeah, you can get them on YouTube. Just on my YouTube channel, there's like a store underneath. You can see it. But I actually, all of my sayings, and it's all rainbow colored because I like colors, but all of my sayings are in these blocks. And I think it's kind of cute. You won't forget it. As you're reading the shirt, you're going, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember that.
We're at the day of the test.
Yeah. The first thing your glove should touch is the patient. So, you know, I mean, as you're reading this, you're going to go, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I wouldn't suggest wearing it to the test, but they probably, but honestly, they probably wouldn't even notice. They would just see the CNA. Yeah.
That's funny. That could be the cheat sheet.
Yeah, exactly. That is your cheat sheet. Absolutely. I keep saying I'm going to order one and wear it into class because I thought it was really cool when I made it. Yeah,
At least on graduation day.
that's a good idea. I'm going to order one. All right. So any final questions on anything that we've gone over in class? Any final questions? Yes.
Okay, mine's regarding chapter 5.
Okay, dementia.
One of the questions is that if a dementia patient is hallucinating, you should. What are some examples of redirecting?
Basically getting them to stop fixating on whatever it is they're fixating on. So I'll give you a good example. My grandmother had congestive heart failure. And when she was sitting up, it was really hard for her weak heart to push blood uphill to her brain. So when she's sitting up, sometimes she would hallucinate just because of oxygen deprivation. And as soon as you laid her down, blood would flow back to her head and she was good, right? But in that time when she was hallucinating, she would usually hear children playing. That was her auditory hallucination. And she'd ask, you know, where are the children? Where are the kids? I hear the kids. Now, of course, the kids were all grown adults, you know, but she could hear children. So if I told her, hey, Graham, you're hallucinating again, that might make her, that might stress her out a little bit, increase her anxiety because, oh my gosh, what does that mean? You know, how is this going to, remember, all your patients think they're dying. They're just waiting for you to tell them, right? So I don't want to do that. I don't want to like stress her out. So what I would say is, hey, Graham, can you tell me about that book you were reading?
Some kind of almost like a distraction.
That's exactly what we want to do is get them focused on something else.
You can't think of two things at the same time.
Right. So I would ask about what she's watching on TV, a book that she was reading or listening to, or you know, we talked about this with feeding, but I use this question all the time is, tell me about one of the trips you took. I know you took a lot of trips. Can tell me about, didn't you say you went to California one time? Did you fly or did you drive? You know, we're going to have a conversation about, now I do know that she did go to California at some point. I have no idea how she got there. I have no idea what she did there, but I'm going to ask her to kind of give me some information because now she's thinking about that and no longer focused on. That would be redirection. You can also, and these are two examples that I gave in class that day, you can also, with women, give them a women's magazine and ask them to find the teddy bear inside because most women's magazines have a snuggle ad. In fact, they all do have a snuggle ad. That's teddy bear. So women are used to, especially older women, flipping through magazines. It's a normal activity, non-threatening, comforting activity for them. So they'll just sit there and flip the pages. They may forget what they're looking for. That's okay. Redirection. Men, you're not going to get a man to flip through a magazine. They're much more tactile. So for men, I would get a box of raw rice, not cooked, you know, make sure it's raw. I like jasmine just because of the scent. It's a very soothing scent. And I would put marbles or nuts and bolts in there and ask them to find these items. And like I said, I use a lot of humor. I would hand that and say, you know, Harvey, I've lost my marbles today. Can you help me find them? They're in this box. Where are my marbles? I need my marbles. And, you know, usually I'd get a laugh, but they, you know, start picking the marbles out, you know, and it would buy me a little bit of time.
Who's laughing out?
Who is that?
Wake up, brother.
So you can, you know, utilize something very tactile. Activities are good for that. Take them to the activity room, get them involved in something. But basically, we just want to divert them away from focusing on whatever the hallucination is. You definitely don't want to play into a hallucination if it's causing them any sort of anxiety or fear. And I've seen CNAs do this, and it is just brutal. Do not do this. Somebody who's deathly afraid of spiders, and they see a dot up on the wall and they start to think, oh my gosh, it's a spider, and they can spiral on that big time. Well, if you come in and say, oh yeah, that's just a harmless spider, it's not going to get you, it's all right. Well, that's just, pouring gasoline on that fire, because they're going, they're going to take that and run with it. So and we don't want to argue with them. We don't want to say, no, there's no spider there. They're still fixated. They can see it, it's a hallucination. So instead of doing that, let's talk about, wow, look at all these pretty colors on the wall. Those are really pretty. Do you think they're in the right order? I don't know. What do you think? Should the yellow go before the orange or after? I mean, I can talk about anything. I mean, just, and now they're focused on these colors, not on that spider. And I didn't have to upset them to make that transition.
When I read that, it's very direct. This is thinking we're gonna have them do something like that. But these ideas help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do have a friend who's really, he does hallucinate and he gets angry though.
Sure.
So I like the idea of the jasmine, the nuts and the bolts
Mhm.
in that box to have on hand.
Yeah, it's a great idea. With older women too, a lot of times we'll ask them to help us sort socks, fold washcloths, just a routine activity that they are, familiar with. Now, before some of you get all upset over slave labor, I want you to remember that everybody needs to feel needed.
Yeah.
Everybody. If I gave you guys a week off with absolutely nothing to do, man, that would be the best week of your life. You would be all over that because you are probably overworked, underappreciated, and you need a break. I get it. And that's great as long as it only lasts a week, maybe 2. But after that, if the phone's not ringing, if nobody's texting you, if everybody acts like you literally dropped off the earth, nobody needs you for anything, you're going to start to feel some kind of way about that. Yeah. So depression sets in because you aren't needed. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. That's horrible. We don't want our patients to feel that way, especially if they aren't getting frequent visitors. So if they get involved in some of the routine tasks inside the facility, it helps them feel like they are part of something bigger, like they're an important part of the way this facility works, that they're needed. And that's an important feeling. We don't really understand that because we are needed in our everyday life. Somebody needs you. Somebody depends on you to do something. Even if it's a neighbor across the street that just watches you come and get your mail every day, you are the entertainment for that individual. Somebody needs you in your life, no matter how isolated you think you are. But when you go into a facility, that takes isolation to a whole new level. So we need to help our patients feel like they're a part of and needed.
And you give them a basket of. I got one guy that I take care of just yesterday, and I say, what you want to do with that? And his wife brought the basket over to me, and just giving him them washcloths to hold up. He just thought that was the greatest. It just perfect.
Right.
It was perfect. It was so.
Yeah, years and years ago, there was a nursing home up, it was somewhere north of here. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was, this is probably 25, 30 years ago. It was cutting edge at the time because the way it was built was kind of in a wagon wheel. So the inside sections were gardens. Some of them were screened over, so it was protected from bugs. Others were out in the open, but it was all the rooms were on the outside of the wagon wheel and the kitchen was in the middle. And then your spokes were where your nurses stations and therapy departments were. It was a pretty cool layout. Well, in these gardens, there were raised garden beds, and the residents were the ones that planted and weeded and harvested and took their harvest to the kitchen, and then the kitchen planned meals around the fresh produce that was grown by the residents. These residents, it was amazing. I mean, this was like a huge experiment, but there was a whole lot less antidepressant medications given to those individuals.
Right.
But medications overall were given at a decreased rate because they found this sense of belonging, sense of community being needed. They found that all of that contributed to just overall better health. So, a lot of times you feel like, I just don't want to get out of bed today, but whatever it is in your life that you have to do gets you out of bed. Well, when you're elderly, a lot of times there is nothing to do. So what's the point of getting out of bed? Well, if they knew they had to go weed, that would get them up. So they have purpose. So they're getting more physical exercise, more mental stimulation, more community. It was great. And I think that philosophy really needs to be adopted in a lot of settings, because right now, can you imagine just being put in a place out of sight and left to die? And that's really kind of what we do. So we as caregivers are the only people that are going to help prevent those feelings of loss and abandonment and hopelessness. So take an interest in your patients.
So true that that's happened to my mother. She feels forgotten. Her
Yeah.
pulse rate yesterday, because like of her major depression, was like 100, 120. Like we had to watch her, and it was only anxiety and depression, and it's
Yeah.
real. She feels forgotten. It's heartbreaking.
Oh, it's definitely real. Absolutely real. Yeah. So we have to remember our role is not just physical, it's also emotional. I told you I was plugged into a lot of these CNA groups online on Facebook. One today really cracked me up this morning. The woman was basically complaining about, is CNA complaining about her work environment. And she made the comment, nurses don't ever help me.
Certified nursing assistant.
Yeah, so she kind of got that backwards, right? So nursing assistants, we're there to help the nurse, right? If we can't do something, we should let the nurse know. But it was really kind of funny, to see that statement. Now I know what she was getting to. I get it. I understand what she was trying to say, but it was just the way that it came across. I'm like, well, the role there is, but a lot of times you guys are going to be completely overworked, right? That you can't possibly take care of all the patients and do all the turns and all the feeds and all the showers and all those, right? Everything we got to do. And on top of that, you got these call lights going off every 5 minutes. And it can get very, very overwhelming. And it's really easy to look down the hallway and see a nurse sitting at a nurse's station, and you're just running around insane. It's really easy to build up some resentment there and say, well, wait a minute. You see these call lights. Why don't you get up and answer them? Because, I got more than I can do here. You're sitting at the nurse's station. And yes, nurses should absolutely get up and help when they can. I have never been one to just sit at a nurse. In fact, I get really aggravated when I'm at a nurse's station and a patient or a family member approaches and everybody ignores them. That is the first way to set me off. That is a human being that needs your attention. Do not ignore them. I don't care what you're doing. They're a human being in front of you. So that'll really set me off. You know, at least acknowledge them. If you can't solve their problem, at least acknowledge them. But I get how, you know, for CNAs, how frustrating that can be to look down the hallway and see a perfectly good, able-bodied human that can get up and help you with what you're doing. But the problem is that the nurse has nursing work to do, things that you can't do. Remember, they delegated all the stuff they can to you. So everything that's left is only stuff they can do. So if they're spending all of their time helping you answer call lights and do the things that you guys are doing, the things that we were able to delegate, there's nobody to help them. Because whatever's left is nursing tasks that they can't delegate. So we have to understand that we all have roles to play here. And we've got to make sure that we're working together and not against each other. Because if we're working against each other, nobody's going to win. Nobody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Be a good assistant and you will be treated like gold. Because we need good CNAs. We absolutely do. And nurses, especially old nurses like me, when we find CNAs that we like, that are helpful, that we can form a relationship with, and we can get this stuff done, and we're all treating the patients the same way, and the shift goes super smooth, we will make sure that we are working with those CNAs every time. You know,
Last week, they were like just a tag team. I mean,
it's
nurse came in, they call them patient techs or what they just.
right.
She had her role, and my God,
It's a beautiful thing.
it was the sync of it.
Yep.
It wasn't a matter of who has superiority, they were just 14.
A team. Yeah. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. All right. So any questions on any of that? You guys pretty good? All right. So yes.
15 on the test. Shirt, about long sleeve.
Excuse me.
They're going outside.
Okay.
Carefully. No, I don't like that. And nothing but it. Yeah, no. Hang on. See?
Okay. So let's read chapter 5 or question 15. And I'm going to dissect this question for you so you can understand how to answer it. Okay. Because a lot of times we just look at the question and we try to come up with our answer. And then we look at the answer choices and whichever one fits closest. But that may not be the best way to do it. So let's see what this is asking us. It says the care plan. Oh, let's stop there. What do we know about that care plan? So we have to adhere to it. If we can't follow the care plan, what do we do? Okay, so we only have 2 doors here. We follow the care plan or we let the nurse know. This is very clear. It says care plan. So we're going to keep that in the back of our head. It says instructs you to dress the resident in a long sleeve shirt, but you know the patient is participating in an outdoor activity later today, and it has been hot in the afternoons. What should you do? Well, we follow the care plan. So let's keep that in mind. Okay. But if we have a concern, who should we report that concern to? The nurse.
I would have thought like, you. And then I was like, well, ain't no nurse. The nurse not on here, so I can't go to her. So that must mean it's really fit for her to have those long sleeves.
Right. Remember I said that long sleeves are for more than just temperature. They can be used to protect the skin. They can be used to prevent weeping sores or rashes from transmission. So the care plan says long sleeve. If we can't do that, or if we have a concern, we'll go to the nurse, but there is no nurse in the options. So now let me look at these 4 options and see. So dress the resident in a short sleeve shirt. Does that follow the care plan?
No.
Okay, gotta get rid of that one. Tell the resident they can't participate in the activity later. Is that our role? No. Ask the patient what they want to wear. Well, that's okay. I mean, we like to ask the patient what they want to wear, and dress the resident in a long sleeve shirt. Okay, so those are the two that we're left with, right? It's got to be one of those two, because we know the other two won't work. So now we're down to two. Well, go back to the very, 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 very first thing that we learned in this class, hour one, day one. We follow the care plan. So only one of those choices follows the care plan. Therefore, it must be C. There's a reason that I taught you these things in the order I did. You don't know why I did that, and you'll never really know, but there's a reason that everything was given to you in the order it was given. And that's because I started out with foundations, and then we built on those, but everything that we put on that foundation made that foundation even stronger. Okay, so the things that you learned in class 1 are the most important things that there is to know in this class. Class 1 really is the foundation of everything that we build on. Remember when we were talking about the checklists, and I said that about half of each checklist was the opening and the closing, right? When did we learn that? First day. Yeah. Indirect care counts. That's how we treat the patient. When did we learn about that? First day. Hand washing is a really, really important skill. When did we learn that? So first day is the most important. You probably could skip the rest of the class and still be able to pass the test just based on what you learned on day 1. So if you don't remember day 1, you need to go back to my YouTube channel and watch me on double speed to speed me up. But you probably need to watch that, because everything you needed to know was in class 1. Okay.
Can we talk about the next question about bed alarms?
Okay.
That's the one I missed.
All right.
I just put that it confines the patient to bed, because when I was in the hospital, they had my alarm on. Because I was dizzy, low blood pressure, high blood pressure. Look, I didn't want that alarm going off because it was the most annoying sound there was.
Right.
So I put it confines the patient to bed, but I didn't realize it's a restraint alternative.
Right. Because if they don't have a bed alarm and they don't want you up roaming the hallways because you're dizzy and weak, right? If they didn't have a bed alarm, what would they most likely want to use to keep you in bed?
Side rails.
Right. And side rails are considered a restraint. So if we're not going to put the side rails up, we're going to put this alarm on the bed that lets us know. It doesn't keep you from getting out of bed. It just lets us know when you're out of. Yeah, I know the sound is a bit of a deterrent, but it doesn't physically keep you from leaving the bed. You still have freedom of movement. So it's used in place of side rails.
They did have the rails up. I just slipped down to the end, got out that way.
Yeah,
And
and
the alarm went off. That's when I found out I had a alarm.
and that was that safer than you just getting out of bed?
So,
Absolutely. So side rails do not keep people in bed. Exhibit A, right? Side rails do not keep people in bed. And what we actually did was create a more dangerous obstacle for them to get over. So side rails don't do what you think they're going to do.
that was good.
Yeah. Thank you. Good illustration. Yeah, my mom was like that too. She they put the side rails up on the bed after her surgery, put her side rails up, and I went to the bathroom, right? Because I stayed there. I went to the bathroom. I come out and she is halfway over those side rails. And I'm like, no. Put your leg back in bed. What do you need? Don't climb over. I mean, because now the floor is significant. And the last thing she's, all groggy from surgery. She has no idea. I don't even think her legs were working at the moment, but she doesn't know that because she's, altered mental status. So she had tried to get that leg on the ground and stand on it. It probably wouldn't cooperate, and down she would go. And now we've got an injury in addition to a surgery, and that's no good for anybody. So we've got to be careful with side rails, because what it's doing is giving an obstacle, and your patient can get way more hurt than if we had just maybe had somebody at the bedside with them. All right, any others on the practice test? Any others? All right, so let's talk about finding a job in healthcare. So go to page 125. This is finding a job in healthcare. Finding a job in healthcare is a little bit different than other industries. Most industries, if you want a job, you go fill out an application, or you go on to one of the online jobs boards, like Indeed or Career Builder or Snag a Job or any of those. And you look for an opening because you need a job, right? So you're just looking for anybody that's hiring. Do I meet this qualification? Does this sound like something I could do? You apply, you interview, you get hired. Healthcare is a little bit different. The first thing that you need to understand is that all of those jobs postings that you see on those sites, they have to be paid for. They're not free. I can't just, if I've got an opening for somebody to come work at the shop, I can't just post that job opening on all those jobs boards for free. It's going to cost me about $125 per job per post. So if I want to advertise on all of them, you're talking about $500 a week that I'm spending just to try to get somebody in a position that I'm only going to pay $300 a week for. Doesn't make much sense, does it? It makes even less sense when you understand in medicine, there are always job openings. So that means that I would have to be paying this $500 a week forever and ever and ever, because I'm never going to be fully staffed. There just aren't enough CNAs to go around. So most medical facilities have said, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not going to be on those jobs boards. You may see a few, but very, very few, because medicine is always hiring. So that means that if you want to go to work in medicine, you've got to go find where you want to work and apply directly there. So let's say that you want to go to work at a local hospital. You go onto their website, whatever, thishospitalname.com. You click on jobs or careers, and then you search for CNA positions. The ones on their website doesn't cost them any money. If you want to go to work in a nursing home, you go to nursinghome.com, whatever, the name of the nursing home is, click on jobs or careers and look up their current openings. You can also go on social media. All of the places now have a social media page, a Facebook page or an Instagram or whatever, and they will post openings on those pages. So you need to get a little more creative with your job search than just pulling up Snag a Job and looking through it. You need to figure out where you want to work and then apply directly on their website. That's the best way to find a job in healthcare. But you also have another option that most people don't think about. Every single one of you knows somebody that works in medicine. I guarantee it. That is the dominant industry in this county. You know somebody that works in medicine. Maybe a family member or a friend, could be a neighbor down the street. It could be, your son's girlfriend's mom that works, that somebody that works in medicine. Look at your network, and you need to ask them, hey, do you like where you work? What do you do at work? Are they hiring CNAs? Would you recommend this as a good place for me to get started? And they'll usually be pretty honest with you, like, oh my gosh, stay away from our place. Or, oh yeah, we're hiring. Now, if you get referred by an employee and you get hired, that employee usually gets a bonus, and so do you. So that's additional money just for being able to be referred by an employee. It also helps you when you're going through that interview process because they know somebody that can vouch for you. So tap your network as well. That's a huge way of getting into. A lot of times it's who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
Now, if you go onto my website, foryourcna.com, it's number 4, YOURCNA.com, under after certification. So, you know, my menu, I've got training, testing, after certification. If you look at after certification, I have a local jobs board. I've done all this work for you. I have them separated by hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facility, outpatient clinics, pediatrics, mental health. I've got all of this listed out for you. And if you click on the name of the facility, it takes you right to their website and their hiring page on their website. So you just go onto my website, figure out who you want to apply with, click the button, and it'll take you right over to their website. Okay, I've done all the work for you. Now, you can work in mental health. In fact, our local mental health facility hires our students quite often. When you go in for your interview, though, don't go empty-handed. There's 2 things that you need to take with you to an interview. The first is a notebook, because if they offer you that job, there's a couple things you need to know, and you probably need to write them down. Like, do you need a pre-employment physical? Chances are you're going to have to be peeing in a cup somewhere, and they're going to send you somewhere to do it. So you need to know where, and you need to write that information down so you don't have to call back the next day and say, I forgot.
Not like story.
You also need, if they offer you the job, you need to know what shift you're going to be working, what floor you're going to be working. There's a big difference between 3 East and 3 West. So if you just go out of the interview thinking, okay, I'm working 3rd floor, when you go to start work, you're not going to know where to go on the 3rd floor. So you need specifics. You also need to know where to go for orientation, what time to be there, and what the dress code is for orientation. And you need to write all of this down. So take a little notebook with you. But you also want to take a packet that you're going to leave there. That packet should have your CNA certification, the blue card that the state gives you. Make a copy. Never give anybody originals of anything. But your blue certification card, you should make a copy of. I'm going to give you a certificate of completion in here today, so you should make a copy of that and put it in there. Your CPR and first aid card should go in there. Any additional certifications that you have, like did you take a course on customer service, or are you certified in keyboarding skills? Or do you know you can get a lot of these for free? Go on to CareerSource. They have got 1 million online courses that are super short, couple hours, that you can take for free, print out a certificate and put it in your packet. Yeah, if you have a Microsoft certification, you need to polish it up, put it in there. Absolutely. What that tells me, you're not going to be using Microsoft as a CNA, okay? But what that tells me is that you're computer literate and you're going to be doing computerized charting. So that's important for me to know, that you know your way around a computer. But if I also know that you've got those skills, I might actually be looking at you for a CNA schedule coordinator, because those run off of Excel. So that might be a good position for you. So putting things like that on the application, even though or on your resume, even though it may not directly correlate, it may help you, first of all, secure the job in an indirect way, but it also may lead to other openings that you had not even considered. Okay. So on page 125, in the middle of the page, the second column, you'll see make a packet. And in that section, I tell you everything that you should have in your packet. Make
Oh.
sure you take it.
Where?
Page 125.
Says,
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And you could buy bed ticks and all that on there.
Any extra certifications that you have, they should know about. Yeah. They may not use them in that position, but you should let them know.
Excuse me, like, what is the average of paying a CNA, like, if it's in a hospital, is it more, is it a clinic, or is it less, like, how does it go?
The harder it is for them to find staff, the more they're going to pay you. Okay, so keep that in mind. If they can get staff easily, they're not going to pay as much. Why should they? Because people want to work there. So hospitals are usually the number one place that people want to work. For some reason, they think it's all Grey's Anatomy and Dr. McDreamy is on every floor, and it doesn't work like that. But that is the perception out there. Everybody wants to be in a hospital to work. So they don't have to work so hard to get applicants. Therefore, they're probably not going to pay as much because everybody wants to work there. Now, nursing homes, nobody wants to work in a nursing home. So in order to get staff, they have to sweeten the pot. They have to provide more monetary compensation. So in general, not always, but in general, nursing homes are usually going to pay a little bit more than hospitals will. The closer you get to Tampa, the more you get paid. So if you're working, can you?
Sleeping good. Yo, bro, your alarm's going off. I'm gonna wake up. That was me.
Yeah, if you can turn your ringer off for me, that would be helpful.
What were we just talking about? Remind me what I'm supposed to be.
Sorry.
saying.
The closer you get to Tampa, the more you get paid.
Oh, wow.
15, you can find just in Spring Hill, Corning D, some places.
Yep.
15, you can find places 19 to 22. If you're real lucky, some places are willing to pay up to $28.
28
Yes, I will. Believe me, every one.
Can you let me know?
Okay, so
Just to
I'm
get
gonna grab that.
ideas,
I'm going to grab that chair
you
real quick.
know,
I'm just.
and then-
All right,
and
so
it's more.
Let me talk to you guys about pay.
Depends on the company
I'm
as well.
trying to find my own house, and I feel like I'm.
Well, everybody wants the most money for their time away from home, right? Everybody wants that.
No, it'd be like, I'm trying to find a home, so I need to have enough so I can like down payment and stuff.
Right. So, but here's the thing that you have to consider. Why is a place offering $28 an hour? They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're not doing it because, oh, Denise, I really like you. I want to see you get ahead in the world. So I'm going to give you $28 an hour. That's not the way this works. If the average in the area is 15 and somebody's offering you 28, that means that they're expecting $28 an hour service from you.
Yeah.
So if normal is 15 and they're offering you 28, which is almost double,
Yeah.
that means they're expecting twice as much work. So that automatically lets you know that they're short staffed. That means that you're going to have way more patients. You're going to have way more to do with those patients. And you're going to have a staffing issue when, like at 3 o'clock, when you're supposed to go home, staff may not come to relieve you, which means that you're staying until they can find staff. So that's, those are all things that you have to take into consideration when you're looking at a really high pay scale. Now, I'll give you a good example of this. About 10 years ago, I had 3 young men that were in the class. They were friends. They all took the class together. And now this is about 10 years ago. Okay, so pay scales were way lower than they are now. And there was a place up in Gainesville that was offering about $25 an hour. 10 years ago, that was like really, really, really good money. So the three of them went up and they applied and they got the job like immediately. There was no orientation. They were literally thrown on the floor. They could not take care of all the patients they had. I mean, they had like 60 patients, an entire wing. One of them lasted like 2 days, one of them lasted a week, but none of them lasted more than a week because it was just not, the staff was horrible, that, mean, and it was not a good environment. And this is why they have to pay so much to get people in, because it's not a good environment. And while 28 sounds like a really good deal, you may find that there's a reason they have to offer that amount of money to get people in the door. So when there's a really high hourly amount, approach with caution.
I do like,
It may work for you. I mean, you may get in there and go, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But just approach with caution.
I just feel like,
Certified, I'm not certified.
wait, what?
I make 15 an hour right now and I'm not even certified. So personally, like, yeah, that I understand that. That's why I'm gonna look and see if we can kind of dissect it, but I wouldn't take anything equal to if I'm certified now is the problem also.
Right.
We can't live
Yeah,
off of 15 an
and
hour.
I'm like wondering if like, even for us, like we did get a pay raise, but it wasn't like, oh, you're doing so good, let's give you a pay raise. It's like, oh, it's required by the state and all that. So now we're wondering, we did get a pay raise, but if we get certified, are we gonna get like another pay raise? I feel like if we do, it wouldn't be close to anything.
Yeah, that would be something that you'd want to talk to your supervisor about.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting ready to take tests. I'm going to be certified. Is there a monetary compensation for that? Because they wanted you to take the class and to get certified. So, but they also, the other issue here, guys, is there's a lot of competition. Everybody's hiring.
I found it.
Everybody is hiring.
It's 29, up to 29 an hour. Says pick your own shift. Hold on, I'm trying to look for.
I have to hire somebody
Well, I
to
know
go
I
online and
think
fill
that
out
was
stuff
and
for me
I had a
because
whole billion.
Yeah, it just gives
that
you
I
like
had
a
to take care
regular
of, and you got
breakdown.
two patients
So like
going
provide
on,
assistance
and
and all
you
that other
just
stuff.
go
that's
around. I
going
had
on.
my in that. It's just you,
But like, I feel
especially
like
11 to 7.
I'm a really good hard worker.
You
Like
got
I
all
work
these
my
patients, you got
butt
some
off.
that's running
Dude.
around
Like
there.
when I lived in
got
New
some
York,
that
I had 3 jobs, and
It was
I managed, and I still had time to do my thing. So like I feel like I'm worth more because of how much I do already,
I was
and I don't do the bare minimum of
Right.
my work. So I feel like I deserve more, and that's why I'm wondering about these things because
This sounds like.
I know what I could take, and I feel like I could do even harder stuff than I do now. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you in the nursing home, you see them $28 an hour, you better believe most of the time, they do not have no help. And you be having like 20 something patients, 20. I had 20 patients and 4 of them had to have a shower. I had the bed, I had about 5 on the bed alarm, and that one lady, boy, she was, don't soon get into that. And you got to realize you in the shower, you can't hear
The alarm.
that alarm
No.
in no shower room. And then and I'm telling you, when you got them, some nurses will sit there and you'll be like that girl.
Well, so I want to lose more weight. It'll give me more.
More active.
put on your roller skates and go running.
Yeah, but it may be the right, you may be able to thrive in that environment.
Yeah.
So don't discount it just because, but what I'm saying is that when you're seeing options like that, proceed with caution. So there's some questions that I would ask. If I were going into an interview, well, I've actually got them in here for
Yeah.
you, page 127,
Oh, the page 127 has the questions that you,
page 127.
okay, perfect.
So there's a couple of things that I would be asking if somebody was offering a lot of money for my time. Okay. So one of the questions that I'm going to ask is, and I'm going to have some very specific questions if they're paying me a lot. Okay. So one of my questions is, how many residents on average will I be responsible for? The second question is, how staffed are you? Are you fully staffed? Are you half staffed? Everybody's got a shortage right now, and I get that. But if they're operating at half staff capacity, that means that you are now responsible for twice as many patients. Because we can't tell patients, I'm sorry, we don't have enough staff to deal with you today, so you're not getting any care. They're paying a daily rate for care regardless of how many of us there are.
Yeah.
So everybody has to have care. So if they are operating at half staff, that means you're going to have twice as many patients. So that's something I would want to know. The next thing I'm going to ask is mandatory overtime. Do you mandate? For some of you, this isn't a problem. For others of you, it's a big problem. So at the end of your shift, if your replacement doesn't show up, what is their process for that? Because some places will mandate you. That means that you have to stay over until they can find somebody, and that you may be working that whole next shift. You can't go home. So I would want to know that if I've got kids in daycare, right? Because you can't call daycare up and say, I'm so sorry, work won't let me leave. DCF will have your kids because they're not going to keep them overnight,
It's almost like a test rabbit for CNAs.
Yes.
That's what it looks like in app. And you can pick up to different shifts and pays.
Okay.
So it helps you, it looks like, because I'm looking at the video that I just wrote down on there for you. So it shows like.
Just
the
kind of like a
video breaks it down.
care.com for CNAs.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just helps you kind of look for.
Yeah.
right
So
jobs.
what that is, yeah.
oh,
What-
my friend.
So let me explain to you.
Let me see what it is.
Yeah, let me explain to you what this is, because this is becoming
Or
way
like a temp
more
agency
popular.
Type thing.
Yeah.
So let me explain what
Good to have.
this is. As a CNA, right? So let's go back and remember our title: certified nursing assistant. So that means there has to be a nurse, right? If you can't have an assistant without a principal, so there has to be a nurse. So what a lot of CNAs will do is they'll go out and hire privately. So they'll work with a neighbor, they'll, put an ad on care.com or one of those sites that you're looking at, and they'll try to go direct to cut out the agency.
Like my job.
Because agencies take us, they charge a client, they take a portion of it, and then they give you money. So there's some really good benefits to that. Number one, you cut out the middleman. You're getting paid more money for your time. That's a good benefit. Number two, if you don't like the client, you don't take the job. You are now in charge of, who you're going to work with. So you get a little bit more say. Where if you're working agency, you really don't, they just assign you to places.
Unless you're looking like.
So, yeah. So there's some good benefits there. But let's talk about the drawbacks. First of all, when you are working private, there's no nurse involved. It's just you and the client. So you are not a CNA. You may be operating as a CNA, but you are not, because there is no nurse for you to be an assistant to. And if you start making decisions, that makes you liable. It's really, really easy to step over that line when you're working private. And you may not even realize you've stepped over that line. But if you operate as a nurse and something happens to that patient because you made a decision, you were liable. So huge liability. The second problem with it is that if you don't go to work that day, if something happens, flat tire, whatever, and you can't make it to work, it doesn't mean that that patient is just going to magically be okay today. They have hired you to be there because the patient is not okay alone. And if you can't be there, there's no office to call up and say, hey, I can't be there. So that's going to set up a potential hostile work environment if you are less than consistent. Okay. So that's the second thing to think about is you don't have any backup. It's just you and them. The third problem is, what if there is a problem? What if they accuse you of stealing their money or their medications? There is nobody, it's just you and them, right? There's no buffer there. There's nobody to come in and help sort out that situation. So you can find yourself with false accusations and no recourse for them. So there are some, it's okay. There are some drawbacks, of course, to working private, but the number one drawback to working private is, yes, you're making more money, but now you're responsible for taxes. And that's not just your portion, that's also the employer's portion. Because what you see come out of your paychecks, you know, when you look at your paychecks and you see FICA and Social Security, that amount that was taken out of your paycheck, your employer had to match. So if you're working private, you need to figure out what you owe in taxes and then double that, pull that out of your paycheck and put it into a bank account so that when taxes are done at the end of the year, you don't get a $6,000 tax bill. And a lot of people don't realize that when they go private. They just look at, oh my gosh, I can make $28 an hour if I go direct. And yes, you can. I've worked private. There are some that it's a fantastic work opportunity. And there are some that I just thought, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? So you have to be, you have to know the pros and the cons there. But those are becoming a lot more popular because agency work can be restrictive and they take a certain amount off the top. But understand that they do have some benefits to that, liability insurance being one, conflict resolution, and somebody else to take the liability of everything. So you have to figure out what that's worth to you.
How do you, if you did want to do a private, is it some kind of way you, like, if I become a CNA and I want to become private, is it some kind of way I could work, like going in to get the, taxes, having the liability,
You would have to talk to your accountant, whoever your accountant is. Yeah. So whether you use H&R Block or, yeah, you need to talk to an accountant.
What do you know about certified medical assistants? Like, what exactly are their roles and stuff? Because I heard about the title, but I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. So we have CNA and CMA.
Yeah.
So certified nursing assistant, who do we work with?
The nurse.
Certified medical assistant, who do they work with? Doctors, medical.
Oh,
Yep. So nursing assistants are going to do routine tasks on stable patients according to the care plan. We've heard that before. Medical assistants do routine tasks on stable patients according to the doctor's orders. So medical assistants have to work under the direct supervision of a doctor or healthcare provider. So nurse, anesthetist, a nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, or a doctor. They have to work under one of those. So they're going to get their orders from whoever's supervising them, the healthcare provider. And they're going to do routine tasks on stable patients. So it would be different than the routine tasks that CNAs do. Because CNAs help nurses in a nursing setting. So bathing, dressing, grooming. We don't do any of that in the doctor's office. So those skills aren't needed, right? I don't go to the doctor's office for a shower. What they do in the doctor's office is rooming patients, getting their height, their weight, their blood pressure, their temperature, their pulse, so vital signs. That's an overlap in skills, right? We know vital signs, they know vital signs. It's an overlap in skills. But they also want to find out what the patient is there for. So communication, well, that's a skill overlap. So a lot of times they'll assist doctors with in-office procedures. Okay, in-office procedures. So that would be maybe ear irrigation, minor suturing. You're not going to do the suturing, but you're assisting the doctor who is. So there are some skills that are overlap and some skills that aren't. Some medical assistants are trained to take blood because that's done in a doctor's office. Others are not, because they send everybody out to one of the lab draw places. Some medical assistants will learn how to take x-rays because that's what's required in that setting. Other medical assistants wouldn't know how to operate an x-ray machine if they had to, because that wasn't part of their daily routine. So it's going to depend. Medical assistant your tasks are going to depend on where you work, and whether you're an administrative assistant or whether you're a clinical assistant. So administrative would be answering phones, scheduling appointments, taking care of medical records, taking care of referrals, that type of thing. Clinical is going to be more patient stuff, rooming patients, getting their vital signs, taking their blood, that type of thing. So it depends on which type of medical assistant you are. But the thing is, that's kind of interesting. There is some skill overlap, not a lot, but there is some skill overlap. There is no state test for medical assistant. There's a national certification you can get, but it's not required. So you, as a CNA, can work in a doctor's office. They can do on-the-job training for all the others. Remember, there's some overlap, but they can do on-the-job training for the other tasks that you would need. If they need that. Yeah, if they need that, yes. Sure, if they need that. You can be trained, yes. You can be trained. Yeah. Problem with medical assistant is that the education for it is like 2 years long and costs thousands of dollars. You'll end up in
Yeah,
debt.
That's one thing I was gonna, I was wondering, like, if you don't need a state test for that, like, how is the school, like, is it even less? For 2 years?
2 years. And you're going to come out making less than you would as a CNA.
You make less than a CNA?
Oh my God.
That
Unless
I
you would-
didn't expect that.
That's so basic.
That's medical assistant, you make less than a CNA.
Wow. Well,
Wow, that's crazy, because that's what my neighbor was doing, and I asked her where she was working, and she was doing medical assistant, office management for a while.
Well, she'll make more because she's a manager.
Okay, but even then, I mean.
Yeah.
I would've
Yeah, it's a
thought
whole
that-
lot more schooling for a whole lot less hourly wage.
wow.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
surprised me with that. definitely.
Well, this is why it pays. Yeah, it pays to do your research before you decide to go to school for something. You know, a lot of people think, well, medical assistant, that's a great career opportunity. You work in a medical office, you know, but you need to start looking up the actual wages in our area. Right now, medical assistants are making between 12 and 14 an hour in our area.
That's crazy. And I'm not even certified for it.
But you have to think about the trade-off though, right? It's, yeah, it's good hours. You're not, yeah, you're not, you don't have to work. You know, it's in some ways an easier work environment. So you have to figure out what your goals are as well. I worked in a doctor's office for a long time, several years, because it fit into my life. Even though I was getting paid less, it fit into my lifestyle better. So you have to figure out what is most important for you. Are you going to go where the money is? Are you going to go where your body can physically, you know, perform? Are you going to go somewhere where you're not going to be emotionally involved with your patients? It's a quick in and out, or do you like those relationships? Those are all things that you have to consider when you're trying to decide where you want to work. And if you haven't taken that workplace personality quiz yet, you need to, because all of those things are talked about in that personality quiz.
Money is the problem. Work sometimes has to.
Yeah.
Where's that quiz?
Where's that?
Where's?
Is that like-
foryourcna.com.
I still have.
I have everything on this website. foryourcna.com. It's at the top of the white book here. This little computer guy. foryourcna.com. Look under CNA Training, your ideal workplace. It will help you. Okay, so let's talk about, are you talking about travel? Okay, let's talk about that. And these are all topics, by the way, guys, that I cover on my weekly question and answer session. I've done a half hour on every single one of these topics. So you go back and watch some of those, they'll help you. The difference between CNA and CMA, CNA and PCT, all of those things are covered as well. But let's talk about agency. Guys, you are brand new, which means you are super slow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You're new. You're supposed to be slow when you're new. But you're slow and you're not entirely comfortable with your own skill level yet. You're still looking things up and thinking things through. It is not second nature yet. You also don't know the patients at all. So when you go into a facility, there's a certain orientation period that you're going to have. Excuse me, they're going to teach you how they want things done in their facility, but they're also going to teach you about the patients. This is Henry. This is what Henry likes. This is Martha. This is what Martha likes. You get to know your patients, you get to know the facility, and then you get on your own, right? But you're going to be slow, and that's okay. They expect that. So the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to kind of either have a helper or have a lower schedule, or they're going to cut you some slack there until you get your feet under you and can kind of figure it all out. Make sense? All right. When you are working agency, that means that they don't have enough CNAs in their employment, that they have to go to an outside company and say, hey, we need to rent a couple CNAs today for this shift. So, of course, when you rent anything, it's expensive, right? So the agency sends 2 CNAs over, and they're going to charge the company big bucks, and they're going to pay those CNAs much better. Okay. So we've got a group of CNAs that work there all the time that are making $15 an hour. Then you got these 2 agency CNAs that come in and they're making $28 an hour. And the facility CNAs know that. So the agency CNAs, they don't know the patients. They don't know where to find the washcloths. They don't know anything, and they're slow. So when they ask that facility CNA, hey, can you come help me with something? That facility CNA is going to say, you're making $28 an hour, figure it out.
That's what they do.
And that's exactly what they do. There is no help. So you are brand new, working in a facility that you're not familiar with. You don't know where to find anything. And those other people that work there are not going to be helpful at all. That is a recipe for disaster. And you'll end up leaving healthcare if you go straight into agency work because it's not what you think it's going to be. I always recommend, always. Agency is a good option, okay? But you've got to get some experience under your belt first. You've got to be able to get that bed bath without thinking about it. You've got to be quick because the whole reason that they're bringing in an agency is because they're short-staffed, right? They're not doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They are short-staffed, so they're paying big bucks to get a substitute in there. You better know what you're doing because there's going to be no help for you. So it's a good option. And it really does help. You would think the people that are always there would be grateful that they've got another warm body, you know, so they don't have to work quite so hard, but that's not how they see it.
It's just like Miss Pat said. I mean, I have one whole, when I tell you it's 10 rooms, and this 10 room, you count 4 hallways, 2 beds to a room. Man, and it was, I could not believe I was the only help there, the only, all the other ones had called off. There was not one regular CNA on that floor. And I was like, and she was like, well, you got 4 showers. Now you count, you got 10 rooms down 4 hallways. And each hallway had a shower. That was 4 showers. Then you had to get them to the dining room. You got to change them before you take them to the dining room. You got to wait for the nurse because you like, well, can you leave her there because she got to get medicine before she goes to the dining room. And I was in tears. I was like, I can't believe y'all did this to me. And one of them, I had to use the Ceralift to put in the shower. I was like, no, you didn't. And it's not what it was crazy, but
Yeah, you want to know how many residents on average you'll be caring for and what, you know, how involved those residents are. Agency is not a bad option. I don't want to like scare you off of agency, but I would absolutely recommend that you get some training and experience under your belt first, because I've seen a lot of people get enticed to coming into medicine for agency. That's all they wanted to do is the travel because it's big money. And they get 1 week into an assignment and they quit. And now they're stranded wherever, because they won't pay for you to come home if you quit. You just walked out on a contract, which means you're going to have to pay them back. I've seen some absolute horror stories because CNAs were enticed by the money and didn't really understand the ramifications of that. Yeah, because when it says contract, they mean that. It's a contract. You're saying I'm going to stay there for 13 weeks, no matter how much I don't like it or how mean they are. Yeah. So you just kind of have to know what you're getting into. All right, so let's talk about renewal. This is going to be on page 122. Okay. So when you get your CNA certification, it's going to be good for a certain period of time, and then you're going to have to renew it. Renewal is not hard. You go on the computer, answer 2 questions, give them a little bit of money, and you'll get renewed. So you don't have to take the test again. You don't have to prove your skills. You don't do anything crazy like that. It's not a difficult thing to do. but there are a couple things that you need to know about renewal, and I'm going to show you the video on this. I have a video.
Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Love that.
That's how I lost my seat by
Not renewing.
I was there for Family Dollar for 6 years. Never went back and renewed my certification, so when I went to go back into nursing, I,
You had to start all
"Oh, your
over.
CNA is not, it's not current, and if you don't wait too long, you can get recertified, but if you wait too long, which I did, I couldn't, I had to come back and start all over again.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you this video. This is on my website, and I want you to put a star next to the video thing to remind you that I do have a video for this on the website. So on page 122, when that little video clapboard tells you I have a video for it. When you get your renewal notice, I do not want you to call me up and say, oh my gosh, Miss Patti, I have to renew. What do I do? I want you to go back and watch this video. It has everything that you need. I'm going to show you in class today. I took notes for you, but I want you to know where to find this for the future, because you will need this video again at renewal time, and you will forget. Starting in March, I get about 50 phone calls a week
Oh my.
starting
God.
in March about how to renew. And I tell them all the same thing. Go watch the video on my website. I'm not going over it over the phone. Not trying to be mean, but 20 minutes of, explaining all this over and over and over again.
Keep thinking about bringing.
Interesting.
Use one of the other notes.
Adopting for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by CNA.com. After you pass your state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications in even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc. When you become certified, you will join one of these groups. But which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No, as long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again. In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet 2 requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills. This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local home health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only one Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, in-services. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called in-services. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education in-services in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018, there are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of in-services for renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under course search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete, as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewal. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, happy caregiving. Okay, any questions? Remember that your very first renewal will not be a full 2 years, because you're joining a group already in progress. So it could be, some of you could be renewing this next May. Others will be renewing the May after. Look at your expiration date on your certificate to know when you expire.
When we get the certification, can it be laminated or is that the normal?
I don't think that there's a prohibition against it, you know, like there is for social security cards,
Yeah.
but there's really no need in laminating them
Okay.
either.
Like
Yeah.
a wallet card. I don't know about your wallet.
Yeah, I actually have my wallet card tucked in, you know, a part of my wallet I don't use often, but it's there. And the only time I ever need it is if I'm going for a job interview, which I make a copy of my big card for that.
Okay, so your path.
Right. Right.
So there's like a regular ID card.
There's
and
like a
there-
little, yeah, there's a little wallet card.
And there's the big one.
And what was that site that said?
CE broker.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's on the book. as well,
Yeah. If you go to page 122.
too.
there it is. Oh, there it is. I didn't highlight it. So, never mind. Sorry. There was another one that said something about CNA Florida.
There's a couple of websites.
Oh, okay.
CE broker you need to know, that's, where you can find continuing education. But then you can look up your actual expiration date on CNA Florida license lookup. If you just, you know, search it. And then you also need to know the MQA. That's where your medical quality assurance is where you're gonna go to renew. But that's gonna be on your actual certification.
So we can always go back to.
Yeah, always go back to the video,
We can always go in, no matter what.
no matter what it is. My four-year CNA site, which that's where everything is free,
Yeah.
that's open to the public
Oh,
for anybody, anywhere, at any time. So everything on there is free for everybody. That includes a personality workplace quiz, the renewal information, test registration instructions, all the skills videos, all the animated lessons, all of that.
That's too cool.
And
Is
can we
up there
like
for free.
Making a difference.
going forward, come in here after 1:30 and practice? If we have another CNA that took the same course, but not in this room, but
Yes,
you know, switch to.
yes, and we're gonna talk about that in just a few minutes. All right, any other questions? All right, we're gonna go outside and take a class photo. Those of you who did not purchase your books, please put them here on the table and meet me out front.
How do I know if I bought it when
Can I buy it?
it wasn't with the original 350? There's,
I'd have to look it up for you.
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
If you wanna buy your books, right now, and I'm just doing this for you guys, because we're gonna be switching to a new edition in January. If you wanna buy your books, it's $20.
Oh, I
Yeah,
should
cause
get
that
it.
order was 42.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I should.
Oh, it's right now.
I got some studying to do.
So. Over half off.
Go over and I'll give you the dough.
Hillary.
Hillary. Right,
Bingo.
Bingo.
I don't know, everything's pretty much in the loop.
yeah.
Everything is in her book.
Right?
Yes. You covered me. I'm broke. I'm not working right now. I can always come back to that.
And Taylor and Nicole, you love her.
What are you doing?
I thought you were talking about.
I'm gonna be the first, stick my finger in and pick one.
You're not shy, girlfriend.
Thank
I'm
you.
not.
I'm still surprised you were like, no.
Yeah, and then I went to go and look it up too. Right? It's filled with words. He's like, wait, is this the right one?
Thanks for getting treated.
Oh, that
Like I downloaded the whole app to look into everything.
double dutch.
It's kind of cool though, cause it like, I mean, it's just like an example, cause I don't have my license stuff, obviously, but like. it breaks it down and stuff. That's what she was talking about.
This is the agency website.
Sorry, hold on. Yeah, what I mean, what I put on there.
I didn't go to bed, but I was studying. Thinking I was gonna have a
So like it breaks it down, like how's that? On that date, and then how much you get paid, the bonus, or that, and then it tells you.
Are you the vice chair?
The call, the phone number, the entrance, you're going to have to complete anything.
These are.
I can get in trouble with them.
Plans, do you have your blue book?
Yeah, it
Oh,
can,
assistant,
that
how you
it
been?
could be on the whole price portion.
Never mind. That's not what
I'm sorry,
That may be only, we need a.
Yeah, then it breaks it down.
I will have to look that up. I don't think you purchased the book.
So the 350 didn't come with it.
Then it comes,
That's the guy.
the
Kinda like.
white book is yours.
Oh,
The
the blue book.
blue book,
Okay.
yeah. We went over that on the first day, that you would be returning the blue book.
How big? 10 pounds.
One person, one-on-one.
Why
Yeah.
not chunky?
And I work at that high school, I like at their offices, and I
Learning with y'all.
hang out with them, I help them with whatever.
You got me there, you Miss Patti.
Hours.
I was probably like,
It's
it?
to do by yourself.
mine.
Every single day of today.
Working kids, right? I don't know how it's still working with kids.
It's especially when it's getting big.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's very good. But I
Get
feel
them
like
coming.
I'm
sorry, sweetie pie.
Let's go up
Some
front.
of the kids who really, really love that.
Yeah. I gotta do.
Hey,
that.
okay, fix
I
your face,
don't
huh?
wanna do
Did you
other
go out and
people's
play?
kids.
I do get like, I could get even up to 10 kids per shift, right? 10 kids. And
I was on the phone with boys all night.
Same thing.
I've
with the
become
adults,
boy
pretty much.
crazy.
It's just a different personality, cause they're more.
oh my God, look.
Sorry.
Is that how it looks?
That looks like a pumpkin spice, something kind of one.
It is, girl.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
gotta hurry.
You want to come in? Eat 'em on me. I probably look like Zudo.
You are such a pretty smart.
I'm so tired. My face is like, eh.
Nah.
Uh-huh. Watch. I guarantee she's
when
gonna
you're
go to the
tired,
that.
Listen to me, when you're tired,
My
your
face muscles
eyelashes,
were.
your eyelashes get so heavy. I'm tired too.
I'm
so
sorry, I
I'm
didn't mean to
sitting
point
here
that
going,
out,
oh
but
my
you-
God.
Huh?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point.
Oh, no, please.
I gotta go get my.
That was actually really funny.
Hold on, let's see.
My caterpillars.
I think
My
that's-
caterpillars.
Oh, man.
I don't think I'm gonna like the picture, but let me make this phone call. Yeah, where's my key?
Those are the better ones. One cream cheese.
Oh,
That's what I was talking about. That's
No,
like the white
the
with the
diet
black
bar.
pumpkin spicy.
Yeah, they are a little spicy, they're good. Got a little kick. I know, I ended up having to do mine.
Uh-huh.
It's there for later. No, it's terrible. So we.
Oh,
I just wanted to.
you know.
I didn't know there was a Facebook page, Patty, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no worries.
I'm gonna find it.
It's for your CNA, it's right behind you, actually, for your CNA.
Okay.
Sure, if you give me, let me just keep this real quick, and, yeah. Okay, so 7, just remind me. Are you ladies already working in the field?
No,
No.
I have 2 jobs. I work at Marshall's and Chipotle.
Oh, wow. So see, this is a total different avenue for you
But,
too.
I graduated from the community college, so I have my associate's degree in health science. And now I'm trying to get into nursing school.
Awesome.
And I just wanted to do this first.
Yeah, yeah. I did, 30 years healthcare law. So now it's just totally different. I mean, I'm not gonna be a CNA. I'm gonna get my certification just so I can get it, but I'd rather,
You don't like it?
no, I can't stand it. I'm sorry. It's just not me. And I know that, but I have a lot of old friends that I wanted to be able to, how to lift them properly and help them. And that's one of the things I need help with is this one lady, she has a queen size bed. So changing her bed is a challenge. And I don't know, Patty may have some suggestions on how I can minimize. She only sleeps on one section of it. She's not in the whole bed. So just trying to do that bed while she's in it, it's hard. So at least, I mean, I didn't know the role. Now I do. I've never done it for her yet, but I'm ready. But I have one guy that is my neighbor. These are all my neighbors. I'm in a it's not a 55 plus community, but they're in villas. So typically the older people want the villas, so we have to take care of everything outside. But this one guy, he does have hallucinations. He gets angry and mean. He wants to fight. So yeah, I wanted to try and I like that idea of like taking some jasmine and putting it in a box, some nuts and bolts, and having like move them around and connect them. Just getting off that anger spot. Cause I'm like, how do I redirect this attitude? I've never really had anybody say, oh, there's a bug. There's one over there too. For this class, I told her, I was really impressed. She does a really good job. In fact, when I leave here today, I have to go to South Tampa, have an appointment with this land developer. He's gonna train me as a paralegal to work on doing land use. All the notices that have to be filed, the mailings that have to go out, public notices that you post on the property. I get to do all that. But I've never done that before either, so it's like, that's for me. A little warm in here, isn't it? I like it though. Compared to usual.
This cupcake cake was amazing. Would I be a piggy if I had another?
Nobody would know.
I don't tell you. Not that I really care what people think. I've gotten there.
Me too.
It's such
No,
a gift.
actually, you know, I'm trying.
Well, are you married?
My husband left me in 2011, so.
Go on a dating app.
I know.
I'm having the time of my life.
Really?
Meeting boys? Oh my god. Nothing's happening.
What's that?
I'm on Bumble, Tinder. My daughter met her wife on Tinder. They're married now. And then Facebook. You go on your Facebook page and press the heart up top.
Tinder,
Tinder. If and when you make your profile, make sure you're very clear of what your intentions are.
I'm a rich, impotent man.
Go to the VA, they've got the best health insurance.
And speaking of that kind of thing, there's a catheter here on the floor. Hold your thought. I'm gonna guess it's the catheter. It's over here. Just finding all kinds of things today. Eyelashes, catheters. Hey, found a catheter on the floor. Oh, I just said.
Okay, thank you.
Ooh, yum. Patty, do you have any suggestions on how, one of my neighbors is pretty much bedridden, and she's staying in her queen size bed. Yeah. So that's a big bed to make up that she doesn't use all of. Right. Is there any suggestions on how to minimize that?
No, because it really depends on her preferences. I mean, even though she's in a big bed, and would she be uncomfortable moving to the smaller? I don't know what would.
Like I got used to having clean for the last like 5 years, and I moved in with my grandmother. And I've got a full size one of those, so it's like a lot less room.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Okay, because you're used to. Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's not so bad like after getting used to it, because I do have 2 smaller dogs kind of. But I had an Australian Shepherd slash and she was a mix of something.
Big.
She wasn't big, but she was a good size. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I would really kind of get to the bottom of what she's comfortable with and then try to work around it.
Yeah. Okay, it's
The
a lot of work.
The closest thing
Yeah,
for Wayne would be a pool though. It's not too much smaller.
No, what I was thinking is like, you know, sometimes. Since she's only using one side of the bed and we have those bed pads that we're using. I'm changing the bed pads more than I am the bed linen. Right. Could I get like 2 top sheets of twin beds? Sheets. or just that section that I'm changing?
Well, remember, you want to minimize the wrinkles. If you're using a sheet that's not going around the entire, bed, you're gonna end up with wrinkles. So I don't know that that would be a good option.
Yeah, it is,
That's, okay. I know. Well, that's gonna be a problem, you know, big bed down and continent.
it's, this is the difference between a home health baby and see.
CNAs have additional education and normal medical. Because you work close with nurses, so you have to have more than report nurses. That's why you have to learn more nurses. Home health aides, they don't do tasks, but they're not trained to observe.
I don't have to recognize, okay. Okay. Yeah, I love this class. So you have a new class starting in January,
January 16th.
and we could do that on YouTube live?
Yes, you can watch live.
See, I don't know, I was thinking my exam is on after the first of the year, after the holidays.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Glad. And I'll enjoy it more if I get to do it that way, because now I have all that flashcard stuff.
Yeah.
I took, I think I know we have the matching, the name, here's the word on the test.
Yeah.
I have flashcards of those, mix them up.
Very good. Very good.
I'm an overachiever.
Oh, good. I was mysterious.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Oh,
Yeah, we're in the 50 minutes.
That was a great idea. That was a great idea for the cupcakes, thank you.
oh, you're welcome, girl. It was just so pleasant being with everybody. Everybody was so sweet. And she was the good. I mean, and I look at the videos she do and the question and answer thing.
Oh, see, I
She
haven't
is
done
awesome on everything.
will
You know,
That's Thursday, right? Q&A?
yeah, Q&A on Thursday. I don't think
No wonder you're tired, you've got so much going on.
oh my goodness. She the best. I thank God.
Yeah,
I love it.
How much is the practice get?
$25 for you guys for today. Okay, and it goes back up to 65.
Okay.
That's what I'm just, I passed the test in the book and she said basically that was, even though I'm gonna keep studying it. But girl, I was sweating like a dog over there trying to do his Jones.
Oh, that's funny. That skills part.
And I was doing the Perry's care.
Oh.
He was
"Anything
mad, he
I
was
know
like, you
to
would have
get
picked this
I
up, man.
forgot
She's
to
like,
call.
I'm doing the
I
parry.
forgot the, it was like I was, forgot the pass.
Let me go in your class.
The only thing I got right was, hi, Miss Jones. My name, how are you today?
Oh, see, that's what I'm not used to.
I know, right? But that is also, you have to do that when you, and when you're in a nursing home, you know, a lot of times they come in and they do, like those sneak inspections, so you wanna know all that stuff, but you do really get, I have failed, I have gotten. But, once you get it right, you know, once you get it right, once you got that knock and going in and creep and stuff, it's just something that you do. If you, I mean, and you just polite, if you just a polite person, that's just natural.
I'm shy. Very shy. Yeah, and I don't mind you talking. Never. Can't do that.
But, you know, it's just a beautiful natural too. When you get to know the residents and, how are you doing?
Like where-
So good.
Yeah, like where I work is a bunch of little kids, and it's different when it's like an adult and you're like
Yeah.
at school with a child, but like the nurses and everything.
Like I have, I'm like, but then I just got to get comfortable with it, and now I'm talking to kids like, come on,
Yeah.
go on, feel sweet.
How was your weekend? What happened? You get your
And
little
you'd be surprised at the drama these little kids have with each other.
Oh, yeah, you should have fucking,
I swear, they have like one picture of like this one little girl. She's like, I don't play with it. And couldn't let me play with my mom. And I'm like that. You got to go with it. And I'm like, no, you need to tell her that.
Far as observation, when you get used to your clients or your patients, that's a client. But when you get used to them and you notice, like if they got
Yeah.
bruised,
Changes,
you notice if they sad
look
today,
weight,
you
yeah,
notice all these things. So it's gonna be easy once and she done told
yeah. It just has to
Well.
become second.
you. Yeah,
Gotta keep doing it.
Yep, practice, practice, practice.
yeah.
It's just sitting there now.
Yes, pumpkin.
Are those orange tasting?
Is it pumpkin?
It's pumpkin with like,
I say pumpkin, so
Oh,
Pump.
but it's just sitting there in front of my face.
I miss so many. This is so freaking cozy.
got some on the bed.
This would have one like this, but it was flag. It's like a video.
I went right there.
I can.
No, I'm not. I'll go and get.
Yes, I'm out there. That's the
Oh, this was mine. I dropped this.
I have friends all the time. You are back. I think I missed 6 and 7 when I wasn't here.
I knew I had brought this thing.
And 6, 7, 6 and 7, yeah.
Sure, thanks.
I need number 5. If you got an extra one. I think it's number 5.
What, review? Oh.
Is there a number 1?
Start.
One
Second.
We have to stand to 10. Thank you. I appreciate that. There, okay, one more. Here's 6. You needed 1.
Holy smokes, I have no. The principal's review, I don't know, I'm not using the right word.
I can print one off. Anybody else need it? Or email it. Don't, you don't have to print it. Just email it. Which one did you need? 6. Okay, I think I have 6. Oh,
You should upgrade that before and every 3 bites.
Linen,
You should offer a drink before and every 3 bites. 2 to 3 bites.
do not blank or blank linen, do not clean or do not.
guys, it's 6.
Like I would.
That looks so. You need 6. I missed 6. Second, me, I'll try. Thanks for that.
One out, 30 something.
I love how it says, what's it? I don't have it as one. I don't have it as one. It's printed. So I'll print that for you.
I'm doing the principal's review and I couldn't remember the words, I mean, I knew what to do.
You push the pits.
Oh my goodness, I just.
Oh, is that on Facebook?
Yeah.
I mean, right.
But the one is like, she caught her like,
Oh, I love it.
The last 2 pictures, I'm like,
Okay,
so. Like I had no idea what was going on.
thank you. How many?
That was terrible.
There's 7. 7 pictures. I figured you guys could go through and find one that you want.
The one where we're all looking at the camera, not like, I swear.
Well, that one, my face covered.
Oh, you're looking at pictures already?
Yeah, she posted them already.
Okay, well, okay, baby. I think we're.
Okay, when I call your name, if you can please come forward.
Oh, you meant this is an actual graduation.
and get your folders, but. Please don't open your folder until everybody has theirs. So I only have to go through the inside of it once. Kathleen, come on down. You're the first one, but I'm gonna have to reprint your certificate. Okay. Just keep that in mind as we go through this. Congratulations. Madeline. Woo! Yeah, girl. Samira.
Yay, Samira!
Congratulations. And Sam Marie.
Samarie!
Michelle.
It's me!
Congratulations. Taylor. Nicole.
Well done, girl.
Hillary. Denise.
Otherwise, I'd be blushing.
Brianna.
Good job, good job.
Catherine Watson.
Good job. Well done, Lance.
Okay.
Good job.
All right, go ahead and open your folders now. The first thing that you'll see on the left-hand side is your certificate of completion.
Beautiful.
It's suitable for framing, but nothing else.
Okay.
It does not make you a CNA. What does?
The test, passing the test.
The test is what makes you a CNA. This does not meet, this is super important, guys. If you move out of state, this does not meet other states' requirements.
And we would have to go through this again.
You may. Some
Or
states will just, some states will just grant you a certification based on the fact that you have one in Florida. That's
Right.
awesome. But other states require proof of education. Remember, this was not a state-approved 120-hour class clinicals. So this certificate doesn't mean anything other than congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay? On the right-hand side, go ahead and pull out all those papers. We're gonna go through those really quickly. The first paper says, good luck and congratulations. We mean that. We want you to succeed. Although I hope you had a little bit of fun in the class,
Yes.
that's not why you took this. You took this to be able to enter healthcare, and we want to continue to help you with that. So in the middle of that page is my name, address, phone number, and email.
Thank you.
You can use me as a professional reference.
Yay.
Thank you.
The next page is resources. Just because you're leaving us doesn't mean we're leaving you. You still have this room available on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 until 4. It's also on the back of your ID badge,
Right.
but you need to be in uniform with your badge, so we know that you belong here. And no outsiders are allowed. So somebody that, has taken the course and signed my waivers, that's fine. But no family, friends, pets, kids. nothing like that. Did she take the class here? Okay. Yeah, as long as I've got a waiver on hand for her,
So
I'm
1:30 to 4 for how long?
Mondays and Wednesdays I'm gonna give you guys until January.
Okay.
That's cool.
Awesome.
So, 'cause I know the holidays are coming up and we're closed a few days and whatever, so until
No.
before my next class starts, so first week of January, okay? Is that fair?
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely.
We definitely.
Okay, I want to bring your attention to the stop sign by the door. You guys see that stop sign, says stop read below?
Yeah.
That is your practice room. If you come in here and practice, I'm not usually in here. If the door's locked, just ask next door, they'll open it for you. But if I'm not in here, when you leave, please make sure that all of those conditions are met. That the mannequin is in a gown, in the bed, that you cleaned up your, cleaned everything up, that any wet washcloths get hung over the sink to dry out, because otherwise if they're left in the hamper for a couple days, they mildew.
They do.
So, those are kind of my conditions, letting you use the room, but this is how I want it when you, if you don't mind. That helps me.
Keep it better.
All right, so, you also have the online course that you guys all got an invitation to on the first day. Those have all of the videos. It has interactive activities. There's a supply shelf. You have to choose the right supplies. There's a sequencing activity where I have all the steps in picture form. You put them in the right order. So it will really help you practice the skills when you're not in here as well. So that online course is available for you on foryourcna.com. We still have all of our videos and the free ebook and the workplace personality quiz, all of that stuff that I've talked about throughout the program. We still meet on Thursdays, not this Thursday, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, but other than that, on my question and answer session. So after you're done here, if you have a question, come on to my live and ask, because if you have it, other people have the same question, I'm sure. But you also have my email address too. Remember that my emails, I don't always respond to immediately because I've got a lot going on. So it may take me a couple days to get back to you on email. The live question and answer session, I answer those questions right then and there. So it's a little bit quicker response.
What day is the live question?
Thursdays at 3.
It's on here.
I don't know if I've got that one on there. Thursdays at 3.
And then you get a lot of questions on.
Yes, I get a lot of questions.
That's cool, even just to sit and listen.
But we hope
That's
it's
every
successful.
Thursday, right?
Every Thursday except for tomorrow. Thanksgiving is the only Thursday I take off.
It's
Okay.
good. Do that all year round. You got some meeting to do.
I'll still be there. I'll still go live, yeah. That Thanksgiving, and the only reason I take Thanksgiving off is because I'm the one that cooks.
Oh.
Understandable.
For the entire family.
Understandable.
So, yeah, so I'm not, I just can't figure out a way of doing that and the live too. So that's the only day that I actively take off
So you do Thursdays all the time? Like, all year?
all year.
Really?
I've been doing it now for a year and a half and I've never missed a week.
Wow.
You are so focused and
Other than
wanting
that, I
to
take that
help
back. I
and-
take that back. I did miss one because I was at a conference and I was speaking, so I couldn't do the live. That's the only one in a year and a half that I've missed. I'm, very dedicated to that.
You are.
Because it's there to support not just those that are getting ready to test, like you guys, but it's there to support those that are currently working in the industry. And remember how we talked about that bucket of nice?
Yeah.
Right? So that's my contribution to CNAs. I'm trying to fill their buckets up every week so that they've got a little bit of nice to go out into the world with.
We need that.
So that's kind of my mission. And I take that Thursday thing very, very seriously. My way of giving back to you guys.
Well, we can.
I do have a question though, 'cause my sister is potentially pregnant again,
Okay.
and her and my brother are wanting something to help like financially. Could she just watch the videos on YouTube and then take the
Absolutely.
test without having to pay for the class? Yeah. So how would that?
What is
happen,
that
though? 'Cause
called?
don't you have- 'cause
Challenging the
For the
cert?
background check, right, you gave us the code to use.
Right, but it's on, if you go on my website, under testing, I have test registration instructions, it's in there too.
Okay. Cause she's a daycare, like PK teacher as is right now, so I know for a fact kids are her thing. And I was trying to say that, like giving ideas for her, working with kids, anywhere you can be doctor's office, like something. And she's actually thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, anybody, see, that's the thing, I mean, you guys all paid the money to be in this room. but the classes were streamlined. Everything that you heard in this class, everybody on my YouTube feed heard, same thing. So it is, this class goes out live to everybody. Everybody's got like the mindset that, no, I have to be in class to learn. So it really has, I mean, we were over capacity, right? So it really hasn't hurt me. You know, if anything, it usually makes people that watch it go, oh, wow, I really want to go to that class. So yes, but the education is all out there for free. Absolutely. And here you get me live, you know, because I wasn't answering YouTube questions when I'm in here. It's hard for me to juggle that and this. So you don't get your questions answered, but the education is free. Guys, I'm doing my best to help you guys, and you don't understand that, but I'm doing my best to help you guys.
Yep.
Because when you're out there working, you're gonna be short-staffed. The more people I can get trained and certified, the better off you guys ultimately are going to be, because you're not gonna have to work so short-staffed. So if you know anybody that's like, hey, that looks cool, I wanna do that, at least have them watch the YouTube. They can either watch live or replay. And they can go take the test and challenge it, and if they pass it, they're a CNA. So, you know, you guys can create your own workforce to work with as well. And how cool would that be? Think about this for just a second, right? Let's say you've got 5 of your closest friends that are all like, yeah, that's cool, I want to do that. So you get them all certified, right? Tell them to watch the videos, they go take the test, you practice with them, you get them certified, and then you all go to a facility and say, hey, we want to work here, we want to work on the same shift. How awesome would that be? Man, I would be all over that, because now the worst part of working anywhere is you don't know what your coworker is going to be like. But if you can have that part already set, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so get your friends involved, guys. Absolutely. That's the only way we're going to get out of this shortage, by the way. Okay, so you guys are recruiting. I can only do so much.
Ask you a question. How long does it take to obtain your annual license?
Are you talking about medical examiner?
That's right.
Okay, medical examiner is a medical doctor, specifically a pathologist. So you're talking about 12 years of medical education, residency, internship, and then you would have to have a certain amount of experience in pathology before you can apply for that medical examiner position. So it would be an advanced practice.
So on an estimate.
Okay.
You gotta stay woke. You have it,
Yeah, I've got,
I have everyone but chapter 5.
oh, you need the sheet.
Yeah,
I thought that would be your score. Sorry.
Should have that. You wanna go try to get it?
I know, so I mentioned one.
I need good mechanical for some time.
Phone.
They make me mad.
You got time. You can do it.
I have one in my purse.
All right, so that's all that I have for you. You now have your graduation folders. You now have all the education that you need. You now have the instructions to register for the test. You've got the room to be able to practice. So my job here is done.
Outstanding now, right?
Great,
Thank you.
but I'm still available. Okay.
Yeah, don't go
I want you
anywhere.
to feel like you've been abandoned. If I'm not here, you got my email address. Just remember, it may take me a little bit to respond, and I'm not available tomorrow at all. I'm gonna be in the kitchen, knee deep and turkey and potatoes, and stuffing, and sweet potato casserole, and cornbread casserole, and green bean casserole.
here.
Oh my God.
That's what I'm talking about.
We'll bring the 7 layers on.
Oh, you make the cornbread. Oh, my goodness. That's with the corn and the sour cream.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
And the
And the
cooked bread
yeah, and
mix.
the cheese, the cheddar cheese on top.
And it's delicious.
Yeah.
It is delicious.
And I started keto this week, so I can't have any of it.
Oh, my goodness.
What are you doing?
Next year, next year.
But I got, but I started on Monday, a week ago, last Monday, so it's been a week and a half. But I got into ketosis, so now I'm like, I don't want.
No, yay, that's
Because
amazing.
when you break that threshold, any carbs will knock you out, and then you gotta struggle for 3 or 4 days to get back in. So I'm like really motivated. Not a single potato is gonna hit. me
So
in my
proud of you.
mouth.
That's amazing. That's amazing. A turkey, yeah, that's protein.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have turkey and Brussels sprouts. That is
Oh,
bacon.
Sounds good.
That is my Thanksgiving.
No sweet potato pie or nothing?
No,
No, none of it.
no.
But sucks. Just think of it as ooey gooey.
Yeah. But I'm not, I'm not much of a sweets eater, so that doesn't really
Oh,
impact me.
good.
I'm more carbs. To me, that the cornbread casserole is gonna be the hard one,
Oh, my God.
turn my nose on that, but that's okay. I can do this.
Right,
I got this.
No fry from your face.
It's easy after you get started.
You're gonna be.
Or between now and January, the first week of January, I'm gonna come in and use.
Just come in and practice. It's free. Everything's here, set up for you. But if you have the ability, come in and practice. If you don't have the ability, then I recommend buying the practice kit. But for you guys, you're.
Getting old though.
Girl, what are you
Practice
saying?
kits are more for the people in the land that's. So they're $45.
I said, I don't know.
Yeah, I know they're pricey.
It wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't have my jobs every year.
Oh.
And so all of my tips and everything.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I sit ready.
And I feel bad because my mom paid
Where did it come from?
she paid for my background. Paid for it.
I did that.
I barely stayed my.
Good job.
I just looked at right.
God.
Okay.
I didn't. I'm
feel
sorry.
like you-
I just texted her, I don't like talking.
What's your choice?
What is it? That helps. That helps.
Go on to my website.
Oh,
And look at the certification job for, there's everybody needs to for you, and they're all hiring.
Maybe.
You can get it done. Did I tell you about?
Yeah.
There's a lot of time.
That's my thing. I don't want a job hop. I just want to stick in one place. But my job's like,
We do, and it's not as, there's not as much of a negative impact. They expect CNAs to move around. It's not, it doesn't look like it's on a.
We got one about yesterday.
Probably.
Well,
could be
yeah.
this time.
You could choose your own good.
Maybe
But
not.
it's like,
Let's see.
if you wanna like do.
And so I quit them.
Just.
I went to background, like,
In the morning.
a couple months, like they were perfectly fine, like I was getting
You
out.
got
so
the
I
whole
wanted
day
to
in
go on.
between free.
And then they cut me down to 4 hours.
So like.
And that went on
transport
for like
work,
3 months.
like,
Oh, wow, guys, okay, you just had,
come in.
I just want to tell you, you two, get a whole bunch of congratulations comments on.
Yeah.
So I went to where I'm at now, and you would think, well, I never got my job, and where I originally worked, like, at the very, very beginning. My grandmother got me the job over there, so she is a very rose person with this business. And so you think, oh, well, with the, like her granddaughter, that they would actually make it more better. I was getting, I mean, her school friends, that was,
You know, Dairy Queen, right there.
and like I met
Just
with them
across the
to
street,
see her,
I live here, right there.
and
I don't drive on it.
which was like early on this, and I was like, just like a 16-year-old, they couldn't be just under 500. So it's just like, it's not going to see. Well, I don't wanna
Sweet
fight
talking to guy.
He's like, I hope so.
So that's what
Like,
you were-
he's like, how's this sound? And I was
But I
like,
got,
what?
I didn't have any
$200?
stuff on dishes,
And
so,
then he goes, no.
and then pepper
it's on the
and
fridge.
stuff.
I just saved it, nothing else.
and so I got on it about that, I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I'm
It's
sorry,
always just being, nothing else.
obviously, I
But
don't
I'm
do my
stupid
job.
because they see them, they're like right
And-
here, and we pull out information behind
Like,
it.
that was so- not a need, but she's
That's
business.
what everybody keeps
That's not
telling
what they
me,
told
I'm
me
doing
to have.
the same thing. He's like, you
If
can
anything,
start
I was
doing
supposed to
like
be
it
one
with
as
my
a
girl, I wanna be
and I was supposed to be the
16
one to
on my own.
close and open all the time. She's not even happy about it. And then one,
Well, seriously.
I wanna say it was August 19th, if I'm
Should have
correct.
one away.
They forced me to work for her in a 42 hours of life. You can visibly tell I am
I
unable to
just
work,
found
and
the
they got
word.
pissed because I'm like, I
Wow.
I've never coordinated it, so I have a job. But it's another reason I'm getting into this. I need hours. I hate saying it, I'm not doing it just for money, I love, but I need
No,
more money.
I'm not- I don't
Like,
get to meet
I
my coworkers.
saw a volunteer. Yeah. And like, we all have bills. And I hate
Perfect,
that
I was here looking
because
like,
my kids have
Twitter,
to be
Instagram, Messenger, kind of stuff.
Because
Basins are no what zone.
especially when people.
I'm too busy realizing that I'm having
Well,
spots on stuff.
Yeah.
And so.
Some of them, I don't have to.
Yeah.
Contact, oh, shit. Oh, okay.
Basins are no what zone.
What don't we put, yeah, what
That's
don't we
my
put
number.
bases?
No,
No soap zones.
In the basin. I got one.
There we go.
Blank basin with
Yeah, for you.
water. Rinse.
Friends.
I saw your name right.
All the way down in wash on.
Very good. Put Brie with two B's, make it real
After we
simple.
rinse things, then where do we put it?
In the drawer.
Where do we put it before that? We got to dry it.
In the thing.
Oh, my dad sent me.
Can I take a photo?
And then you try it.
This one got.
Or you can go on my Instagram.
It's in
Back.
I got a nice one.
I
got,
don't know what to do.
right.
That's not me.
I only did it today because I knew it was taking pictures of this magazine. I was like,
Alright, disinfect her faculty. Blanks.
Yep, we use the Leeds method for wet body
Yeah.
opening.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that one.
This is for,
The lead.
so. Does a CNA have to have CPR and the first aid certification?
Don't shoot take the test. So no CPR first aid, take the test, but you will need it to work in both settings.
Method.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so if
amazing.
you don't have it, probably need to get it.
Do you know where I can find
Thank you.
CPR in the first aid class?
Go to American Heart Association, AHA.org. Or
So,
different.
that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna close down. A little bit.
What's the name of it?
That's what I'm saying.
She's around our class. And then we were like, see if somebody got that. So I don't know where she's right now. She did that little. Okay. All night. Yeah. Getting that one. She's really good though. That's where I went. Very good.
I mean,
Some places don't require it, as a family, but in most, like, hospitals and everything, they require you to have.
Yeah, and they
Oh, well, that's
Thought about that. Even though you're certified.
I just trying to wrap up. No, you are.
Yeah, me too.
You're welcome. I know you'll just start. All right, guys, I am done with you. The rest of the class is practice. Those of you who want to go celebrate, you are more than welcome to do that. Classroom is open till 4 for practice if you wish. I won't be here, but it's open till 4. And good luck to you. Let me know how you do. Please make sure when you take the test, you send me a email or contact me on my Facebook page or something. Just let me know how you did. Okay? Congratulations, guys.
Thank you again, Patty. Thank you for your help, please. The one I did, this one, the one. This is that.
There you go.
I'll see that works.
Okay.
Oh, Bonnie McDonald sings for sure.
I'll make sure I don't forget my sock and my eyelashes.
Good luck, everybody.
Okay, let's separate the eyelashes and the sock.
You are so funny with your lashes sitting on.
But look what fell out of my clothes because I put it in the dryer this
Oh, that's
morning.
funny.
So I'm looking and I'm like, is that my sock? I'm a mess today.
Open blank blank.
I'm messing. Are you done?
we're gonna go celebrate.
I don't know where we
Here.
Oh, I didn't
I'll
bring
get back to you when I pass my test.
my messy ass car.
Your car's looking better than mine.
No, I just beat my car up.
Yes.
Beat it up.
Miss Patti, did you
That's it, right?
not eat somebody? Anybody gonna eat? I got grandbabies.
Oh, you do, don't you?
If nobody's done,
They're gonna be in class. These are not done.
How you're gonna do things, it's your range of motion.
All right, YouTube world, bye-bye until January 16th. Our next class will be January 16th. Feel free to join us on YouTube. Weekly question and answer session picks up next Thursday, not tomorrow. Hope to see you there. Thursdays at 3 on our YouTube channel. Until next year, guys, happy holidays and happy caregiving.
Thank you.
Yay!
Can I get my certificate redone or?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you.
Shut this off.
I mean,